Martinez.
And I'm Donna Phillips.
And we are excited to be a part of this with you guys. So thank you so much for the opportunity. Honestly, a little nervous too, we're not gonna lie. The STRONG curriculum is something that we use in our organization on a day-to-day basis. We use it in our social emotional learning. We do community presentations with it. We have bi-weekly meetings where we encourage community members to join us. So this is something that we've kind of taken into our arms and just ran with. We believe that even in domestic violence, we can show how every organization, every individual they can focus on the strength of seeking help and receiving services from us. So today we're going to talk about parental resilience. This is an art activity. The topic for today really refers to how we're able to offer assistance to our families to manage stress and with the ability of functioning well when we are faced with challenges and adversity. And I don't think there's a person on this call today that would say that that's not, that it's something that we're not all going through. So not only can we aim this at parents, but we can aim it at organizations and community members too. So it does show that resilience is the ability to suffer and then recover from the trauma, right? And so we just want to have an open discussion with you all as far as where we can offer the coaching skills for the parents that we deal with on a daily basis. So like I said before, we use this on a daily basis. The Keep Change ad, which we'll go over with you at the end of the lesson, is something that we do in our organization throughout what we do. So we do a Keep Change ad for crisis calls that we get. We do Keep Change ads when we do fundraisers. We do Keep Change ads with actually our clients when they walk through our doors to kind of just keep that strength model going.
Yeah, so I guess we're just gonna go ahead and get started with this lesson. So if you can all just make sure that you have some scratch paper handy. We are all gonna get to be artists today. You don't have to be a good artist for this. No one's judging your art. We're just excited to see it. But anyway, we're just gonna kind of open up the discussion about kind of how, our personal attitudes towards resilience. And yeah, so we're just gonna go through a few questions with you guys. After each of these questions, we're gonna give, probably for the sake of time, 1 minute to 2 minutes to just kind of reflect on the questions, answer them, draw. We're encouraging you to draw, but if you really don't enjoy art or don't want to draw, you can write, that's fine too. We really just kind of want to promote some conversation around resilience.
So the first question we have for you, and they're going to be on the screen just to make sure that you can all read them. The first thing that we either want you to draw or think about or write down are what images come to your mind when you picture resilience? We should have played the Jeopardy theme song.
We should have.
I don't know it off the top of my head. No, I don't know what that is. Okay. All right. So a few more seconds and if it's one image, we're okay with answers. Seriously, we hope everyone knows there's not a right or wrong answer in this situation. It's really just to encourage discussion.
Okay.
All right.
We'll move on to the next question.
So the next question, what feelings do you associate with resilience? No, that's Twilight. What's the Jeopardy? Thank you, Roger. Yep, that's what it is. Now I got it. Yep. All right. Next one. If we're moving too fast, just holler at us. All right. Next question is, how can having resilience affect your day-to-day life? And if we're ready to move on, our last question that we have for you all: how can you use resilience to be successful in your life?
Okay, so hopefully that gave everyone enough time to either scribble a picture or jot down a few words. And we really would love to take this time just to kind of share if people are willing. And we are going to go through the images that Pam and I came up with, mostly Pam, for our answers to the questions. And so we have included those in our slides. So we are going to just reflect on the questions and share ours with you first, and then hopefully that'll just kind of start our discussion.
And if people want to chat, I can. I'll monitor the chat space, and I'll let you know what people say.
Great, thank you, Roger.
Thank you. Okay, so for the first image that comes to our minds, well, I guess mostly mine, as Jonna mentioned, is a ball bouncing. When I think of resilience, I think of the ability to bounce. And that's what it's about, right? Is we all sometimes take a fall, but it's a matter of bouncing back up. So the next one is, what feelings do you associate with resilience? When we feel like we have resilience part of our day-to-day lives, it brings us a feeling of peace. I think I missed the down arrow right there.
I think that is the Mercedes symbol. Makes you feel
Yeah,
like you have a really cool car.
My editors did not inform me of this.
Okay, Pam.
So that is the peace symbol, y'all. Yeah. How can having resilience affect your day-to-day life? I believe that it strengthens our minds. And so this is my attempt at a brain lifting muscle, which represents strength. And resilience brings strength to our lives, our families, our communities, as we learn how to adapt to things. And the last image we are going to share with you is, how can you use resilience to be successful in your life? I get the idea of like creating electricity. How in the world did you even think about doing such a thing? But you had an idea and you had to connect it, and you had to create a goal. And when it works out, when you plug it in, the light shines bright. And so that's a way that I think that we can be successful in our life with resilience, is by setting goals and making them shine through. So does anyone, we hope someone would like to share any images or thoughts that they had when we asked these 4 questions?
I'll throw in just to start the game.
Thank you.
So I drew a picture of I don't know that I can really show it, but I drew a picture of a wall and somebody busting through the wall, and then on the other side coming out with stronger muscles. And that was because I always think that resilience is about coming out stronger than you were when you went in.
Awesome.
I love that.
Yes.
Terrence says, my image was an umbrella. It's still raining, but if you have an umbrella, you can deal with it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, what a great image that is. Yes, absolutely.
Mine was of the abominable snowman, because I was trying to remember the story where like going right. So I was thinking in terms of work, like resilience is the ability to just kind of keep putting that foot forward. And I can't remember.
Yes, that's awesome.
Oh, yeah, these are all great. Sound like anyone else?
Anyone else want to share their ideas, their images?
My camera isn't working right now, but I had I don't know what's happening. I'm trying to fix it in my settings. But anyways, I just had a picture of a buff dude because I just think it's powerful right now. Like having resilience is having power or persistence.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Thank you so much for sharing. For those who shared, we appreciate it.
Go ahead. We just want to, we have a few general questions that we also want to ask you guys. Sorry, we're just going to stay on that screen for a minute. I was getting ahead of myself. Anyway, I thought this was an interesting kind of thought, and yeah, so was resilience modeled to you over the course of your life growing up? Wow, that one for me, I mean, I think that almost everyone has resilience. I think it's just a matter of sometimes helping them discover that. Helping them to kind of identify ways in their life that they're already being resilient. I mean, little kids are incredibly resilient from the get-go. You know, I think everyone has resilience. I think it's just, you know, it's really just about empowering people and helping them to find that resilience, which I think is really, so yeah, I would say resilience was definitely modeled to me growing up throughout my life. Maybe now that I have learned so much more about being resilient and getting to help other people, it's allowed for some good reflection on, you know, ways that resilience was modeled to me growing up. So that's just been, I don't know, it's really interesting to me. What about you, Pam?
Resilience was definitely, I would say almost forced upon me as far as when I was growing up. My father was a logger, and it was a matter of, you know, you need the ability to go out and face challenges, and he had no problem taking us as little kids to go do the work with him. And there were days that we would cry, and there were days that, you know, we just didn't want to do it. And he would always tell us that doing something that you don't want to do is only going to make you stronger. And it might mean that you never have to do it again. But if you get the opportunity to do it once, you at least know what the outcome was and that you were capable of doing it. There may have been a little bit of like free labor that was involved with that motivated my dad, which is good for him. But it was, I believe that it definitely gave me the knowledge to just look at goals and say, yep, I can do this because it was modeled to me as a child.
Anyone else share about that or have thoughts about that?
I'll chime in. I think my mother, I always think of her as just the epitome of resilience. She was she was orphaned by the time she was 13. Her mom had died when she was 8, and she was raised by her older sister, and just had all these terrible things happen to her. She got married really young. It was an abusive marriage. And so by the time I was a teenager, she was just, rather than letting it break her, she was just this force of nature. And like, you know, she ended up becoming a trainer. She worked for a nonprofit. And she's just one of the most willful people I ever met. And it's just, you know, just I grew up with this is how you are, you know. Sometimes life can kick you and you just keep going. And so I really admire her ability to do that and the example she set for me.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. That is a great, yeah, that is empowering for sure. Anyone else have any thoughts? Okay, well, let's go to the next discussion point. How does resilience help us and the families or community members that we associate with? How does it help us manage our stress? And I'm sure, I know that we're all at high stress levels. So how do we utilize resilience to manage our stress on a day-to-day basis currently? And kind of my input there is, it helps me realize at the end of the day, with all of these new uncertain times, when I go home to kind of unplug and just, you know, reflect on my day, that tomorrow is in fact a new day. And we do get to kind of start over and maybe touch and communicate with people that we felt may have, you know, we may have misled, or the conversation that didn't go well. It gives us the ability to come back and continue to build healthy relationships with that next new day.
I'll just kind of add to that as well. I have a daughter at home, and so, you know, that layer of kind of the homeschool aspect being, you know, but still juggling work and, you know, trying to be there for our kids. And I know probably several people on this call are in that same exact situation. It is easy to become a little bit overwhelmed with the stress of day-to-day, juggling all the different things. But, you know, knowing that I have workers who are loving and supportive, you know, knowing that I can, if I need to, I can leave work for an hour and, you know, just take a time out. And that's been so nice for me. And then also, I think, just like Pam said, knowing that, you know, tomorrow's a new day, it's a fresh start. Everything's just, we're getting used to like a new normal. And of course, everyone kind of knowing that we're all in this together. Pam and I were talking a little bit ago. It looks different for everybody, but we're kind of all in the same storm.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah. So, does anyone else have thoughts on that?
Let's see, I've got a chat here. Let me bring that up. Judy Gabbert says, for me, I like to think of life as a journey. Sometimes you get flat tires, you can't find fuel, but we always get where we are going. We know that we have gotten through tough times before and will again. And no matter where we are on this journey, I won't be in the same place in a few hours or tomorrow.
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I really loved, so here in Salmon, we've all been coming into the office and working. We've limited our interaction with clients. We've tried to do a lot of the stuff over the phone, and we've met with clients. We've provided a confidential space outside. We've been meeting with clients, and like I found that it's been really interesting. I've really missed that like human connection. I know I've talked with a couple of our staff about that, but it seems like right now, kind of people are really seeking that, just like the conversation. So it's been such a good opportunity for us to be able to just sit and talk with people about, I don't know, people just want to sit and talk, it seems like. And so the clients that we have gotten to interact with, it's been nice to help them recognize their strengths during this time. And it's just, I don't know, I feel like it's kind of opened up a different side of people, which has been really interesting to me. Anyways, that was just kind of a little side note, but I was thinking about resilience in that aspect. Anyways, Pam, did you have another question that you wanted to do?
I just want to touch on, okay, why an art activity? Why did we ask you to draw pictures? And one thing that I think is great about this strong curriculum is that it does touch on the fact that with art, vision trumps all other senses. And so even if you aren't the best artist, which honestly, apparently in my office, apparently I'm the artist, which has kind of tripped me out because I have never thought of myself as an artist. But when you have to think of an image and put it down on paper, it trumps everything else. And I think that was a great little side note as well, as far as bringing out the imaginary side of us and letting us kind of, I don't know, look for that inner child and have some fun with some things and make things a little lighter. And so when we teach strong to, our students or our community, we encourage that. We encourage kind of getting outside of our comfort zone. And so just think about that. If you do decide to take this and use it in your organization, to go ahead and draw pictures with them and encourage that tool as well. So, what everyday actions do we already employ to promote parental resilience in our clients? Does anyone want to touch on this? Yeah, someone has some great music going on.
I think something that we've been with reaching out to a lot of our clients and folks is talking of not trying to solve problems, but doing more listening and then encouraging, kind of asking questions and encouraging them to find their own journey and path through this. And I think that especially, as a problem solver, right, is to resist that temptation to solve another person's problems, but to really be more of an ear. So I think that's a way of promoting resiliency and folks we're communicating with.
Right. Yeah, definitely. I also like to use it for our clients who think that their anxiety levels are, so high right now that they're considering upping their meds. And so for us, it's a matter of reminding clients and our parents that everyone has ramped anxiety that we're dealing with through this pandemic, and letting them know that they are not alone, that what they're feeling is quite, honestly, it's normal at this time. And even advocates such as ourselves have this higher anxiety level. And so they aren't alone when it comes to, my goodness, I'm just failing at life. 2020 has been hard. And so just giving them the encouragement that they truly, what they're feeling is what all of us are feeling. Okay, next.
What skills can we teach our parents to promote resilience? And then, what skills can we teach children to promote resilience?
We're not talking like nunchuck skills or computer hacking skills. We're talking like, how do we encourage skills at home for them to be able to, to communicate effectively and to be able, right now with us being in our houses all the time, it's all over the news stating how tough it is, how difficult it really is. So how can we How can we promote it to them?
I'll just kind of chime in. I mean, we've been of Pam and I's jobs is that we're in the schools teaching social emotional learning. And so, you know, not being able to be in the schools and reach the kids, we've been trying to kind of adapt and use social media to be able to reach still our community members. And so something that we've been talking to people a lot about in our videos is like active listening skills. I think is so important. You know, to try to promote those parent-child relationships that are just, it's such a different dynamic for parents and kids right now. And siblings, households are just, you know, it's just a more stressful time. So we've been really trying to hit on active listening, and then definitely compassion and empathy.
Yes.
So we've been promoting those things a lot. Try to also promote resilience in our families and our community. Does anyone else have thoughts on that?
This is Taryn. I think, you know, I'm having my own struggles here with my kids too. I think teaching, there's some of the core parent ideas like good enough parenting. You know, there's a concept that of good enough parenting, that your kids will be okay if you're only meeting their emotional needs 30% of the time. So you can give yourself a little bit of a break. But what does meeting those emotional needs look like? Are you checking in emotionally with your kids? Are you having conversations with them? Are you, you know, giving them cuddles? They kind of need extra time. They need all that more right now than otherwise. So just letting the parents know, you know, kind of giving them some ideas for how to do that, how to meet those needs.
Good. I think they're doing fine. It's not easy in a meeting like this. Yeah, but they are, and this helps.
Okay, all right.
I mean, if you could put yourselves on mute, that would be super.
Have a second word. Oh.
Mary,
This is actually the Mahoney House. Mary, can you mute, please? One thing that I wanted to add with how can we promote it through, you know, one great thing that our community, Salmon, has done to think outside the box is they have started a social distancing cruise Main Street on Friday evenings for, I think it's 2 hours. So we literally, the town of Salmon is social distancing by cruising Main Street. Our radio station plays old tunes for our community members while they're cruising Main Street. Our movie theater was handing out popcorn. And so they took the steps that were needed to promote social distancing, making sure that we were keeping everyone, you know, safe and healthy, but bringing us together as well and being resilient as a town to show that we as a community will get through this has kind of just opened my eyes to how great even our little communities are coming together to show resilience in this time. And to promote it to our parents, like, yep, we understand we're all in this. Let's figure out kind of the situation and how to make things a little easier on us. So that was just, it's been really cool to kind of watch that grow and blossom throughout this time. So to finish up, like we mentioned before, we do a keep change ad with everything that we do. So if you still have that scrap piece of paper, so what a keep change ad is in your organization, or maybe even more personally, what would you like to keep as far as promoting resilience in your life or to your parents or to your community? What's something that you may look to change? And then what is something that you would like to add to your life to help promote it more? So give some time for this. We'll just
kind of end with a bit of a discussion about our Keep Change Ad if people want to share about that. We'll give a couple minutes to jot stuff down regarding Keep Change Ad.
Is anyone ready to either share with a keep or a change or an ad? We like to break rules sometimes. So if someone wants to start with an ad or a change, please, we'd love to hear your input.
Shocking. March verbally confronted Joe Irvine. Irvine was copying her husband's.
That sounds okay. Are we good? Is everyone all right? All right, done.
In our midst. He was just getting warmed up, though. I am disgusted how much he was copying my husband.
Can you hear me? I muted everybody. I just muted everybody. So maybe if people have things and they want to get on, they should chat.
Sounds good. Would anyone like to chat a keep or a change or an ad?
And if you want to be heard, just say you want to be heard in the chat, and I'll open it for you.
Brenda, awesome, Brenda. Thank you.
Hi, it's actually Florina using our work account, but that's fine. I was just gonna say the keep. We actually did that art activity in group, and I just for some reason it hadn't occurred to me to do it online, and I think that's a great idea, maybe to do that with our online groups now. And so I think that's something we'll be adding. Something that we just recently changed is we were talking to a family that was just having the mom, she's having a hard time, just like when she's stressed, she loses focus and she doesn't know what to do, in that time she doesn't have. So we talked about building her a toolkit, and she wrote down physically like the things that she could do when she was upset or having a hard time. And so then she has that concrete thing about what's in your toolkit that you can access when you're feeling that way. And that way, if she's having a hard time, then her husband can look at it for her, and we're like, let's look at your toolkit and see which one of these things we can try, kind of thing. And then another one that we really like that's from the Strong book is the I am, I can, I have. We like to use that one a lot too, which is nice for people to also keep. We in group before, I would hand them out in little note cards so that they could keep those, in their wallet or their purse or on hand.
What a great idea. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Yes.
Yeah, that's similar to what we do. So at all of our client intakes, we kind of do like a little toolkit with them too at the end, because, I feel like most of the time when clients come in and we're doing intake, it's somewhat of a crisis situation. They're in some sort of a super stressful situation. And so I think it's really important to end client intake with, these are some things that some steps I'm already taking to help myself, and just have that conversation with them and help them identify the things that they're already doing really well. Yeah, and then help them to identify things that, or, resources that they may need connecting with. And yeah, so kind of the same concept, but I love that, handing out the little card.
Yep.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah. Anyone else?
I have a quick question. I was thinking about, Taryn, what you shared, and which is very similar to kind of my parents' background. And it's interesting, if a diversity builds resilience, but the further that some of our families are getting away from adversity, right? That things are pretty cushy. And yet we have many families that are very much experiencing that, but there seems to be a bigger gap now, as we're seeing with many things. I'm curious, thinking of my own children, how it's, if you're not faced with that adversity and you want to, are we doing that? So I guess it's more of a reflection than a change, but I'm curious about, discussions you guys are having with your families around, building that resilience if there isn't a ton of adversity.
Yeah, that is an interesting, that's an interesting thought. Yeah.
I would say, unfortunately, we have families who are facing adversity. I'm trying to think of a family that maybe that isn't going through it.
And I'm trying to think of building compassion too from families who have never experienced that to then help families who are, right? I mean, there's that bridge building that needs that. How do we as a community, pull from this, group that we might need to, kind of provide some experience if you've never experienced it yourself.
I've thought a lot about that too, actually, with my own kids, because I have some aces and some adversity in my childhood, and I thought, I like who I am. I like who I've become out of all that, but I want my kids to I want my kids to be scrappy too, but they're going to have a lot less adversity. So I don't know. You and I should do virtual coffee and talk about that, because I think there's a lot to say.
Yeah.
I think there are always difficult things kids can do. I mean, I think I'll go back to Salmon. I mean, the Salmon Empowerment Project that you all have been involved with, and those are not kids who don't have adversity, but I mean, they could be kids who, if you took kids out on, tough hikes, climb a mountain, deal with something you haven't dealt with before, the compassion piece, like probably all of us, and we learn from, seeing what other people go through in addition to what we've been through in our own lives. And, I don't know if there's opportunities to work at the homeless shelter or do other kinds of things that give you kind of a way to connect. I mean, I think we just have to be part of this about being intentional. If we want to build resilience, we got to build it, right? And like Taryn said, in some ways, we want to create these environments where kids don't have to deal with so much adversity, right? I mean, that's our goal. And so it's kind of an interesting thing to, go on the other side and say, oh, shoot, what happens if you don't go through some of these things that make you stronger? Then I think you have to be intentional about the ways in which you bring that about. Because, of course, we do want that. We want there to be strong kids who can deal with, because adversity comes whether we create it or not. I mean, it's going to exist. People are going to die. Things are going to happen that you didn't expect. All those sorts of things. They may not be, what we now describe as aces, but they still can be adverse. So people have to learn that they can get through stuff and come out stronger on the other side. So I think it's an interesting question. When you have your coffee, tell us the answer.
Yeah, I think so too. And I mean, I think inevitably, I think of because I spend a lot of time in the schools, even just I think we're really lucky because we're in the school so much, but just talking about adversity, talking about resilience, talking about ways to build resilience. I mean, even just talking about it, you know, and I think adversity is inevitable at school, levels of adversity, obviously.
Yeah.
But, you know, because some kids, stuff that happens at school is a walk in the park compared to what happens at home. But, you know, yeah, I think of just what they're exposed to at school too, probably. Yeah. It's interesting. Okay, does anyone else have anything to add? It's good conversation. I like it.
Yeah, we really appreciate your input and your willingness to communicate with us. And, you know, we truly are passionate about this. And this pandemic has kind of led us to different avenues of how to continue to connect and make sure that that we're a part of something that is, you know, hopefully beneficial for us and our community for years to come. And so we are very thankful that we've been, you know, that Strong has come across our desks and that we get to utilize it, because we really do want to inform our clients that it is strength-based. Life is tough, and we are not here to judge. We are not here to tell you what to do. We want to give you, like we've been talking about, the tools to be able to make the decisions for what's best for your life, your children, and hopefully even the community, honestly. And so we just feel very fortunate that we were asked to do this. And we hope that we can continue to bring our passion out with you guys, however it makes sense.
Yeah, and I think for me, it's just about kind of being super passionate about wanting to help people recognize or like discover their strength. So that's my passion.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, thank you guys all so much for joining us.
Well, thank you too for sharing your knowledge and experience and raising the questions and facilitating this conversation, because it was a super conversation. Just want to remind you that tomorrow